Hello, sweetie. Welcome to our journey of Dr. River's song. I'm Rachel Roth.
I'm Kyle Olson. I'm really excited to start this.
Me
Rachel and
too. This is
I,
gonna be awesome.
Rachel and I are big Doctor Who fans, and one of the characters that we both definitely love is, of course, Doctor River Song, Professor River Song, Melody Pond, whatever you want to call her, Mel, whatever. Like, we're going through all of them.
Obvious heads up. Well, and also just an obvious heads up. Spoilers. So if you haven't seen or know anything about River Song or are just starting the Doctor Who or even starting the Matt Smith arc, this is not the podcast for you because we're going through every minute detail. And like I said, spoilers.
Yeah. So we are going from literally the birth of River Song, to her death, and everything in between. And I'm excited. So the first episode that we are tackling is A Good Man Goes to War, which was series 6, episode 7, written by Stephen Moffatt, directed by Robert Hoar. And this, we just get thrown right into it. Like, this is literally the birth of River Song, Melody Pond, right here. And we don't know it. We don't know that Melody is River yet until the end of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, this episode for me, it's weird watching Doctor Who out of order. Particularly follow this one character's timeline. And in this particular episode too, and I'm gonna bring this like right up right away.
Yep.
It's like thinking about this, the Doctor immediately imprints on Mel. Like, it's kind of fucked up if you think about it a little
Yeah,
bit.
a little bit.
Because like he basically grooms her. And I mean, I understand too, like I don't want to dive into the other episodes too much at this point.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like this man who knows her literally her entire life and winds up having an intimate relationship with her. Again, other episodes we'll dive into
Yep.
more later, but I don't know. Like, I love Doctor Who, but I was watching this and I was like, uh that's a thing.
That's a thing. Like, I think how they get away with it is it's almost unknowing. Like he doesn't realize that he's doing it, which doesn't make it better, obviously. But like, it's almost like this is something that is destined to happen because it's already happened to me, but it'll be something I do in the future. Like, really messed up, convoluted timeline that goes along with
Right.
River Song, you know.
Right. No, I mean, and it totally doesn't. It's and I really do love like the reveal at the end is like one of my most favorite moments, especially when like watching this live and it came on originally. You're just sitting there and you're just like, holy shit! What? I'm sorry, huh? Because
Yeah.
like if you follow the original series at this point in time too, you know that River's been around for a hot minute.
Yep.
So when that revelation comes, you're just like, well, damn. And originally, you don't think about the whole like imprinting thing because it's
Yep.
like, oh, River's been around kind of thing. And even the moment where, you know, Rory asks her to come and she's like, I can't, is also in a sense very heartbreaking
Yep.
because, she knows she's going to meet the Doctor for the first time and leave the Doctor for the first time.
And apparently behind the scenes, Arthur Darvill was one of the first people besides Alex Kingston and Matt Smith to know about like the parentage. Like, he messaged Alex Kingston about something, and
Remember this.
yeah, and he apparently, she just said like it was either like thanks dad or thanks daddy or
I
something
think it
like
was
that.
like,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
it
it was
was,
some
and
snarky
she was,
comment like that, and he's like,
yeah, and he was like, yeah, he was confused at first, and then he was like, wait, what?
oh man, like
Yeah.
you know, like the whole thing is set up because like Amelia's not there. I mean, okay, so to put things into perspective for first time listeners, the summary of the whole first episode is basically they find out that Amelia's been kidnapped. The only reason they find out is because she's having contractions and she hasn't gotten bigger. And you know, the doctor apparently has realized the entire time that Amelia's not there.
Yep. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
you know,
He knew.
Rory's
He
behest
kind of
is,
knew. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, and to Rory's behest, Rory's just like, screw you, man. Like, what? My wife hasn't been here. Where the hell is she? So the doctor goes ahead and he basically gets this whole army essentially together of old allies, including our favorite potato and our favorite lizard woman and her girlfriend.
Which
And then we
also
also,
like interesting enough, it's their first appearance as well.
that's true. It really is. Cause I was just like, I was watching it and I was like, don't they know the doctor yet? Well, Lizard Girl did. And didn't we
Yeah.
meet her earlier on anyways though?
We
Like
we
technically met
yeah,
her?
technically the actress was in Human Earth
Mm.
and Human Flesh or whatever that episode was called. The two-part like Silurian episode. But she's technically playing a different character, but she's
That's
playing
true.
a same member of the species. But we also don't know if she just changed her name or if it is the same character from that. But obviously it's the
Right.
same character from like Snowmen and that
Yeah.
type of stuff. Those episodes coming forward. And yeah, I love I love Strax and Jenny and Madame Vastra. Like that was even in my notes. Like every single time, like they pop in, and even Madame Vastra with the, finding finding Jack the Ripper, and it's like, well, how did you find him? Pretty stringy. It was like, oh, cool, she ate Jack the Ripper. That's great.
Yeah, that happened to me too when I was watching it. I was just like, oh, she totally ate him.
Yeah.
Those kind of like mini things you miss the first time you watch
Yep.
because you're just so invested in the story itself, you miss the kind of nuances that are in the story.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the episode, after meeting those characters, obviously the doctor's really mad and he goes ahead and basically does everything in his power to try to find Amelia, basically by having Rory go confront the Cybermen, being like, y'all know something.
Yep.
So you better tell me. And the doctor goes ahead and destroys, I think it's one of their ships.
Not one of them, the entire Legion.
Oh, the whole armada?
Because Rory's exact, I have a message and a question,
Yep.
a message from the doctor and a question from me.
And
where
from
is
me.
my wife? And then
like, all behind it, you just go.
Yeah, just everything exploding in the background. And then Rory just in the most badass that he ever is of like, do I need to repeat the question?
Yeah, it was great. And one of the things too, and I know this is a River Song podcast, so I'm sorry guys,
Yeah.
but just one of the weird things too about this particular episode that I thought was interesting was the doctor actually killed people. I mean, they're Cybermen, but like, still he and it took people to tell him that dude, this isn't you.
Yeah.
And I think even River commented on it, maybe not in this particular episode, but I feel like she did.
Yeah,
no,
it's it's Madame Vastra, and it's what is her name? Madame Corvana is talking about that he has because I mean the entire episode is talking about demons run when a good man goes to war, and the doctor tells Corvana about the fact, like, you don't want to find, like, a good man doesn't need as many rules as I have, and you're about to find out why I have so many.
Yeah. But it was just also just an interesting commentary on the doctor because, going back to Tenet was like, no, I don't kill people. That's not me. And then Matt Smith is kind of a very much a 120 where he isn't past killing people in order for justice that even might not even be justice. But again, I digress just because this is a River Song podcast.
Yep.
Um,
So yeah, Amelia Pond had gotten kidnapped by who we eventually find out is the organization called the Silence, which is going to be confusing. Don't worry, it's really confusing. It's the organization called the Silence, who the Silence work for, but they're also, we'll get to that in a later episode.
yeah.
Um, but they kidnapped Amelia, and we find out they are experimenting on and kind of gene splicing / putting some
I have to
weird
disagree
stuff
with you.
in. Okay.
I have to disagree with you on that because even later on in the episode, like, I honestly think more than anything, they took her as an incubation precaution
Okay.
the whole time. Because, like, for however the Silence knew, and again, I don't know if it's ever touched upon later on how they knew.
Yeah.
But what they find out is that the river was indeed born on or conceived on the TARDIS, probably during time travel, which is why she's quote unquote a Time Lord.
Yep.
And so for me, the gene splicing thing is not an actual thing.
Okay.
It's more of but again, I don't know how the Silence found out.
Yeah, that's
and
the interesting thing. Especially, you find out that they separate from the Doctor for a little bit shortly after. But yeah, the Doctor finds out, as Madame Vastra is, very coyly, it's like, oh, I know how you can blush, so how am I gonna state this? When did this child begin? And it's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
very private.
Yeah. It's like the only, and then showing how.
And then he's like, well.
Yeah, showing how crazy season 5 is of, like, we were going around with, sexy vampires, and then the universe, like, and then Rory died, and then the universe got restarted. So really, the first time
then he didn't exist.
Yeah, he didn't exist.
And then he came back. So the first time that they were to be together in this timeline was, it was their honeymoon.
Yeah.
And then they all look at each other awkwardly, and they're just like, oh, they had sex on the TARDIS.
Yep.
Well, okay.
Yep.
That was a thing.
Right. Yep. And also I do also love before we find out that the baby is River, the amount of times that they subtly try and hint that the baby might be the Doctor's and not Rory's.
Oh yeah, it was great. Like, I mean, it's subtle, but it's there. And again, that's. I mean, I think they purposely tried to do that anyways, because it's just like, well, there's been enough shit going on between Amy and Rory that let's just try to dive that wedge into the audience one more time. One of the other things that before this, I love the moment where Melody's born and everyone's like, the Silence is only giving her a specific amount of time with Melody.
Yep.
And she's being like, she's talking about this amazing man who, will like search the galaxy for her. And you think the entire time she's talking about the Doctor.
Yep.
And then, she gets to the end and she's like, it's your dad.
Yeah.
And then you realize too it's also Rory, but like the awkwardness between everyone else thinking that it's actually the doctor's kid's pretty funny.
Yep.
But it's despite everything that Amy and Rory had been through until that point, it was really the first time that I think Amelia really saw Rory as a man. I know that's weird to say because, like, she had a crush on the doctor, and then he came back and she was with Rory, and then she's like, oh, old flames. And then he, was going to guard her for centuries. And, they go through their whole thing. And we might dive into more of their relationship later as
Yep.
well, because more happens in the whole cluster of everything.
Yeah.
But like this for me was like the first time that she really saw Rory as a man, and that the moment that she was truly in love with him. And I mean, you can argue that it was their wedding day or whatever, but honestly for me it was just that genuine moment of, you are your dad's daughter.
Yep.
And he's just a normal man, but he's an extraordinary one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the speaking of Rory, and like one of the notes that I have is I do find it interesting that it works really well in the story structure of everything. The fact that Rory is the one who the doctor sends to ask River for help. And like, so then we get that nice scene, and in our River song timeline, it's literally River coming back from her birthday celebration in like 1914 on the River Thames, and the doctor got Stevie Wonder to play for her. But don't tell him. Don't tell him he was in 1914.
It's also funny too because she's going back to her birthday.
Yep.
Like, if you think about it, she was just like at her birthday,
yep,
telling Rory, and then they immediately go to her birthday, like her literal day of birth.
Yep.
Which is, I wonder too if River knows that, like that's coming. Because again, River's timeline, to quote 10, is very, very timey-wimey.
Yep.
And it'd be actually very interesting to like read her journal. Like, I don't know if it's actually out there or if someone's actually wrote it, but it'd be very interesting to see her journal.
Yeah, especially because this is one of the few episodes that we don't get the syncing of the journals scene, because
Nope.
adult River is really only in it for a few minutes at the very end.
Well, and she has that mini blip with Rory too.
Yep.
But I mean, like, she's maybe in it for anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes, I think, in that entire episode.
Yeah,
at least adult River is.
Yeah, less than probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
But she's also I also like in that scene, while we're talking about that scene with Rory, her talking about her birthday, and Rory still, even though he's lived this really interesting life, still has no idea what he's talking about time travel wise. And it's like, I just came from the doctor, but is that a previous doctor? Or and he makes the line of like, he can't exist in the same timeline at the same time, right? Like, they can't have two versions of him at once, right? And then River just quips back, it's like, oh, that's a whole different birthday.
So like, she's already implied too that she's like done the nasty with the doctor, which again goes back to the imprinting thing.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
But yeah. So yeah, that's always interesting. And for actually a future episode, the fact that over the course of time, and I believe it comes up more than once, the fact that the doctor ends up code naming River Mrs. Robinson.
Yep, I thought about that too, but we'll get into that actually next episode.
Yep.
So
yeah, so it's like, it's an imprinting thing, but also like she's kind of cradle robbing as well, because Matt Smith is like 23 when he's doing this, and she's in her 40s, so. But no,
I mean, body wise, I mean, like,
yeah. But no, I really like this episode, and this is an episode that I come back to, pretty regularly, because of like some of the speeches that the Doctor will give, and I love. It's perfect Doctor Who of course the Doctor is gonna find some way to play dress up, and he's going to dress up as one of the headless monks who are kind of in charge of this, Demon's Run thing, and as the army, who we see previously / in the future. Confusing, I know. As the army is, kind of at the beck and call of these headless monks, he's, revealing it's like, oh no, they are actually headless, taking off the hood of the robe, and then of course, the 11th Doctor is right there and is super animated and is like the Cheshire cat that he is, and is so animated and just says, Amelia Pond, get your coat. And then all the lights go out, and then him, Madame Vastra, Strax, Jenny all just destroy the army and, make them run away.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, like the whole battle to just reach Amelia and the baby was phenomenal. Also diving back into Baby River, or at this point at least she's Melody.
Yep.
Still.
Melody Pond.
The baby gets juggled in so many people's hands during this entire episode. So like she's with her parents. So they have to save her from Madame Corvana, who winds up stealing her originally, and then it's also interesting trying to find the switch, because at the end of the episode, too late, the Doctor realizes that that's not really the baby, and the baby basically falls apart in Amelia's arms, and obviously she's crestfallen.
Yeah, and because Madame Kovarian, okay, it's actually Kovarian.
It is Kovarian.
Yeah.
My bad, Madame Kovarian.
No, yeah. She, as her and the Doctor are having that scene, she tells the Doctor of like how sweet it is to have tricked you twice with the same thing, which is like so, that's just like a gut punch of like. And you start to realize before it happens of like, wait, with the same trick, crap, the baby's a plastic thing, isn't it?
Yep. I find it strange because the Doctor had an inkling that it wasn't Amelia the entire time, and I don't know if it was just because she was with him longer, but he didn't pick up on the fact that the baby wasn't real sooner.
Yeah.
And it even took Madame Kovarian to be like, dude, really? You fell for it again? How dense are you? And it's like, you fucking tricked the Doctor and you're trying to make this this baby a weapon?
Yeah.
Like, if you're that dense, do they really need a weapon?
Yeah.
Come on, Doctor. Get your shit together. One thing I really do want to point out, too, is at the end of this episode, after the baby's gone, Amy freaking points a gun at River. Again, unbeknownst to her, that's her Doctor, but this actually turns out to be a theme throughout River's life.
Oh, yeah, no, it is multiple times of like, great, Mom, quit pointing a gun at me. But yeah, it's literally right before she tells her, Amy has River at gunpoint of like, no, you explain what is going on, because I know you know. And then it's like,
I mean, the Doctor obviously you just told the Doctor, what the fuck are we missing?
Yeah.
Also, the Doctor's like response to that too was interesting when he found out.
Yeah.
I don't understand though what River was getting at when she's like, read the crib.
It's something in Gallifreyan, yeah.
Right, but it's never expressed what it is, and I don't know if it was more of, like, River touching his hand to the crib that made him realize or what the crib said itself.
Yeah. Well, and that's like also the interesting thing of like, so we know in the continuity of Doctor Who, the Doctor has a granddaughter in canon. That's unquestionable.
Yep. Who, 10 wound up marrying outside of everything, but hey.
No, granddaughter. Susan, like
Oh, I
from the
lie.
first Doctor. Yeah.
Oh,
Um
shit, that's right.
yeah,
That's right. I'm sorry.
she's his granddaughter. We never see in any course of any of the timelines who the Doctor's wife or the Doctor's daughter, actual Doctor's daughter, not clone Doctor's daughter, whole other thing. And actually, one of the people, I like the parallels in storytelling of this. This is the only episode for Lorna Bucket, who's the girl from the Gamma Forest who joins the army to meet the Doctor again, because much like Amy,
Yes.
she met the Doctor as a child and wanted to see him again. And unlike Amy, and this is her and Amy even bond when Lorna gives her the little prayer shawl that has Melody's name on it. But as we find out at the end of the episode, in the Gamma Forest, there is no there is no word for pond, because the only water in the forest is the river. So her name translates from, instead of being Melody Pond, to being River Song. And that's where
I
we
love
get,
that moment so much.
yeah. But it's like that all comes from this one-off character that I wish wasn't a one-off character, because she's so interesting. But
She's such a heartbreaking character too, but she plays an integral part in saving River.
yep,
I mean, like, she has that moment with Amy because it's like, look, I joined this because I figured I would, wherever trouble is, I'll meet the Doctor. And then when I meet the Doctor, I'll meet his companions.
yep.
And, even though she's sorry, I'm sorry, I'm like getting, different ideologies while I'm talking,
no,
but
no, you're good.
she's also a very tragic character too, because even though she helped, try to save River and was in the fight, she warned them that the baby was still in danger and that it was a trap
Yep.
too. And that, River was in danger again. And through all of that and her remembering the Doctor, after she dies, the Doctor doesn't remember her.
Oh no, the Doctor
And
does,
it's,
or at least he says he does.
he says he does, but afterwards
Yeah.
he's like, who is she? He doesn't remember who she is. And it's a very tragic death.
Yeah.
I feel like. And I mean, I get it. The Doctor has met like bajillions of people, probably literally bajillions of people throughout his obviously lifetimes, but I don't know, for this particular character in this particular episode, it was just like, it was really sad.
Yeah.
And I feel like too in this particular episode as well, the Doctor's kind of not all there. Like, he's very focused, he's solely focused on saving Amy and the baby, but you can tell that like his brain is literally all over the place in this episode.
Yeah. And yeah, in some cases, like, it's stuff that you don't see him do that often. Even in the interaction with Rory, at one point he says, as Amy's going through and trying to figure out everything that's going on, and he's trying to comfort her, normally I think the Doctor would just go up there, run and hug her. But we get the funny moment of, permission to hug.
Yeah.
And the Doctor like hugs Amy, but then Rory also like remember, I do have a sword.
Yep.
You know.
And I think too it was the doctor too. I mean, again, you have the wedding episode where, you know, he acknowledges their wedding, but again, I think this is a very Rory becoming a man heavy episode. And I know you have the Centurion episode as well that proves his love for Amelia, but at the same time, this one is like a coming of parenthood kind of thing and addressing the fact that he is indeed a man, a father, and the doctor is more aware of that in this particular episode, that this is supposed to be a more intimate moment between the three of them, and they do
Yep.
have their moment. And what's great is when they do quote unquote rescue Melody, it's Rory that comes in, brings her, and even though the baby's not there physically, she is there, you know, body and spirit.
Yep.
So the baby knows and shares that moment with her parents,
Mm-hmm.
regardless if she's physically there or not, which, you know, I think sets a tone too for what River could have had,
Yes.
but always knew too, you know.
One moment, actually, as Rory comes to rescue Amy, Amy ends up, as she's in her cell, you know, grabs a gun and is like, "I'm armed, dangerous, and very cross." And Rory's response to that is just like, "Yeah, like I don't know that."
And I mean, like the reveal of Rory too was, you know, him in his Centurion garb,
Yeah,
you know.
just holding the baby, and yeah, we finally get all three of them reunited. In that
Yeah,
moment is really nice.
yeah, it was very sweet and loving, and it was just like, oh,
And as much as Rory, like, we get, you know, Rory stepping up and kind of proving like he is a man, and you know he is a father and all that. It's like we also know Amy is definitely still in charge, because we get that moment of like, you know, Melody Williams, like Melody Pond. Melody Williams sounds like a geography teacher. Melody
it
Pond
really does.
is a superhero, and it's like, okay, good point. And Rory just goes along with it because he's like, yeah, you're right.
Well, and it, well, and I mean, what's also great about that moment as well is you're just like, what after you find out that River's River,
Yeah,
you're like, holy fuck, she does turn into a superhero.
yeah,
She does. You know, her mom's instincts were right. And I think that being said, I feel like maybe on some kind of unconscious level, Amy always knew.
yeah,
You know, even if it was on a very, very, very subconscious level, and maybe this is me just reaching, but I feel like on some kind of level, she knew that her daughter was going to be something special, or she knew that her daughter was something special already.
yeah. Well, and you've got to also remember, at this point in time, Amy had like 3 or 4 adventures with River. So like
Right.
she knew River pretty well. So like, you know, you probably almost get that thought in her head, in the back of her head, you know, in the subconscious of like, okay, I'm pregnant. It's a girl. I hope this girl turns out to be kind of like, you know, this idealized woman that we keep seeing on these adventures of River,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
She's like, I hope she kind of turns out like that. And lo and behold, she is that.
She
Like,
did. Yeah.
yeah.
And again, too, and we'll discuss this probably for, of course, we're going to discuss this in further episodes,
Yep.
but she names her after her daughter. I mean,
Yep.
Melody is Melody because she's named after Melody,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's
unbeknownst to the parents.
yeah, unbeknownst to, yeah, she, you know, we don't know, it's like, oh, you know, Amelia has this childhood friend named Mel, and oh, her childhood friend who helped get her through all of these things is actually her
Yep.
daughter, which is a nice touch.
So, like, it's nice to think about this baby is going to be raised by her parents.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to go through a lot of hardships, but she's definitely going to be raised by her parents.
Yep. And then so one last thing we can touch on, because this actually is a nice little quick preview of our next episode. We, in the Doctor's timeline, we get some flashbacks to River. Actually, because they're talking about Madame Vastra and the Doctor are talking about, it's like, oh, could this child be capable of regenerating? Like, we don't know. And as the Doctor hears that, you see the flashbacks in his timeline to this child in an astronaut suit that, you know, we don't know, like, there's a brief little flashback, a few little moments of child in an astronaut suit, and then River examining it and realizing that the child busted out, because this child's super strong, which also the fun thing of the fact that River's the one who discovers that who we now know is Melody had gotten and pulled herself out of this astronaut suit is a fun little touch too.
It is indeed.
But yeah, any other final thoughts before we close out this episode?
No, I think that's it. I think we've touched on it. I mean, like, honestly, if you've listened to this, you know the whole episode, but I think we pretty much touched on all the important things with River or Melody.
Yeah. So do your like plugs and stuff like that if you want to do anything.
Sure. If you guys are interested, you can follow me at Cinematic Sweetie, no E, on Instagram, and you can also follow me at Bait and Switch the Comic on Instagram. If you're interested in wanting to get to know me as a person or whatever, feel free to message me on Facebook. My name is Rachel Roth. I know there's a lot of those, but if you have Raven's name, you can't turn that shit down, dude. You can also follow me on Twitter at Cinematic Sweetie, no E, and you can also follow me at Bait and Switch the Comic on Twitter as well.
And you can follow me at Knocked Out Films on all social media stuff, and you can follow this podcast as well as the other podcasts that I do that Rachel will actually be a future guest that we already recorded in the past. Great. We already are doing weird time travel stuff. Great. Didn't even think about that. You can follow that
it's gonna get timey-wimey, man.
Yeah. At Anchor Podcasts, anchor.fm/knockedoutfilms will be where this is and where the Miyazaki and Me podcast is, where I review Studio Ghibli movies. And
enjoy, you guys.
Cool.
Enjoy us on. We enjoy. Hold on.
We have no idea what this outro is.
No, we don't. Not a damn thing. Thank you guys for listening, and we hope that you will join us in the next episode, which is The Impossible Astronaut, as we dive further into Melody Pond's childhood. So we look forward to having you guys join us on that adventure. And again, this is Hello, Sweetie. And we look forward to seeing you next time.